Welcome to the Travel Agency Near Podcast, Day 40. 40. My name is Rachel Kay, your host, and I'm a travel advisor helping travel advisors build a business that builds them up. If you would like more information on how I can help you, head over to elevatewithrachelk.com. Otherwise, just listen to the podcast. Follow me on YouTube. I do have a TikTok, but I might just not do anything with it. Not really sure what's going on there. I'm not a meta person at all. It's basically this in YouTube. Okay, today's episode. So the next few episodes so we talked about client communication strategies in the last few days, and this is kind of a serial podcast. I know I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but to catch you up, we've been working on client communication, and now we're going to roll that into your communication should be tied in to with your marketing and the services offered. They're all one big little ecosystem that help each other. So if you are marketing a specific service, but you don't have it in your client communication, you are not delivering on what you promised, and you are causing distrust and disloyalty amongst clients and or leads. So once you have your client communication kind of like set up, you're always going to tweak it. You're always going to add to it. Don't worry about it being perfect. Let's talk about content calendars. There are so many platforms to choose from when you are creating a content calendar. Some are free or included in your Google Workspace, which would be Sheets, the Sheets app. You could do it in spreadsheets with Microsoft Office. I clearly don't use Office. I pay for it so I can get access to random documents I'm set, but I don't use Excel. Excel, that's the name of it. There we go. You could do that. You could also pay for different platforms. There's so many that can help you with scheduling your content out. There's so many and they change all the time. So I'm not going to list any off. Just Google content calendar templates or content calendar. Some of them will offer multiple platforms. Some of them are just like, here's where you plug and play your information. Some of them, there are some content calendars out there that are specifically for travel advisors. So you can put your content in or use that content. And I'll talk about some examples in this episode a little bit later on. There are a lot of options is what I'm trying to say. What is a content calendar and why do you need it? It's just, you don't necessarily have to post every single day. I'll get into that later in this episode, but it is like 31 days, even if it's February, just X out those last few days or whatever months have 30 days because I'm not good at that. Anyway, and it helps you organize your content that you want to post and schedule out. Okay. So if you do short form video content, you could just write in the content calendar. This is how I do it for video, is I just kind of write out the hook, the topic, and the CTA of what I'm going to discuss in that video. I will write down, or I like to write everything down. I'll write down like a trending sound I want to use. Something like that. So you could do that for short form content. If it's like short form video content, if it's like carousel photos, you want to have like the photos you want kind of dropped in that space and the full caption and all the hashtags. And then you can also go deep enough to like when you want it, the time of day you want to schedule that piece of content to go out. So you can plan a month ahead exactly what you're going to be showing based on your marketing strategy for the entire year, your potential ICAs out there to find you, and then book a consultation with you or however you have your services set up. Okay. Like I said, there are plenty of content calendars out there for travel advisors. I'm going to mention two that I know of, that are part of like paid courses or services offered. And I believe, don't I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure Mexperts still does it. If you sell or niche in Riviera Maya and or slash Mexican Caribbean, I highly, highly recommend you sign up for Mexperts. It is so much bang for your buck. I believe it does have a monthly content calendar to give you ideas of what to post, special holidays coming up that month. When you do get these like done for you calendars, you do want to tweak it to be in your branding voice, but it's nice to have like the inspiration. And there's like photos included and possible hashtags, like all kinds of options. That's just one little tiny piece of Mexperts. It's mind blowing. I hope it's still there at the time of this episode first airing. But if it's not, there are others. I believe, there is it's called First Class Facebook Community course that has a content calendar in there. It used to be a spreadsheet, but I think it's moved to like a Trello board. So that's like, you don't have to even use a spreadsheet. You don't have to sign up for these platforms. You can use Trello. You can use, one of my sub agents years ago signed up for something that wasn't Trello, but was pretty much identical to it. It's like, I really like this. The whole agency should do this. And I was like, nah, we already use Trello. But I use Trello. You do whatever you want, sub agent. But I believe the First Class Community Facebook group course also has in there. I'm not sure if the original spreadsheet that was created for that course is still in there. And it should be at least a Trello board to give you an idea of like times to post, days of the week. And yes, while that is First Class Community Facebook group, I've told many advisors, if you don't want to have a private Facebook community, that doesn't mean you can't learn from that class. Like, you can learn some marketing tips and tricks, and you have a content calendar that you can access as well. With that being said, please do not just copy and paste. So I think Mexperts does one for every month, but the First Class Community one is just like a sample idea. So you don't want to just copy pasta it all into your platform and be like, done. You do need to tweak the wording to match your brand voice. How terrible would it be if all of us as travel advisors was just copying and pasting the same 4 or 5 done for you content calendars verbatim with photos? People would catch on and be like, who's running this company? Who's secretly behind the curtain with all these different travel advisors because they have the same content? We don't need to be doing that, okay? You do need to add your own seasoning to the sauce. Okay. So we talked about the yearly marketing strategy. If you are in the Success Circle, which is one of my programs, $35 a month, we do talk about a yearly, like an annual marketing strategy. And it's month by month, like what are you generally covering that month? And then you would have these monthly content calendars to really break it down day by day or multiple times a day. The more posts that you typically push out there, the more business you should be getting or leads. Okay. There was a study done. I read maybe 6 months ago. I love to read silly studies, but there was one done, and I don't have the link. I just remember reading it. If you want high volume of business, spam everywhere. You don't have to be very intentional with your content. You will have a higher conversion rate than you would if you were highly, highly intentional and very picky about when and how often you posted. So I'm just going to let you know that it depends on the volume of business that you can A, manage safely, and B, what you want to manage. So if your goal is to have like millions and millions of dollars in sales each year, and therefore maybe 1 to 2 million in commissions, you're going to need to spam a lot everywhere, all over the place, and you will get a return on that investment. You might have to spend a lot of money on social media managers to push out the content for you. But if you're just like, I just want to do like for me, I really only want to do like no more than 8 groups a year. That's my happy place. I make good money from it. I don't have to work very hard. So I don't post a ton of content or like spam everywhere because I don't want that many inquiries converting to clients. Does that make sense? You're like, no, I want to make all the money. 1 second. Sorry. So there is some advice out there of how often you should post. The more you post to on a platform, the more your stuff's probably going to get pushed out by the algorithm. Fingers crossed. Everything's changing right now with social media. So that'll be fun to see how that goes. Some platforms prefer multiple posts a day. Some are fine with once a day. Some are fine with like every other day. They just want to get an idea of how often and if you are actually committing to creating content for those platforms versus just spamming with some stuff. And when you do first set up, I know a lot of them, especially like short form video, they kind of like hold back on pushing out your content at first because they're like, are you some bot that's just spamming a bunch of stuff to make a quick buck? Or do you have valuable content? Let's show this to 3 people and see how they react. Okay. You also want to make sure when you're considering how often to post, not only how much business you want to garner, but what's going to fit your schedule. And you can reevaluate based on analytics each month if you need to be posting more or if you need to scale back on posting content. But let's say you are stay-at-home parent with children that are young, like elementary school aged. Do you have the capacity to handle the number of leads coming in if you're posting 4 times a day? Or is that going to stress you and burn you out? Or maybe it's going to stress and burn you out. However, you want the revenue in, like you need that revenue for some reason. So think about that. You could also, I know some advisors that I've mentored, they didn't really want to do a huge volume of business. It was kind of almost like a hobby, but they wanted to make money so that it wouldn't be a hobby. But they weren't concerned with making a ton of money. And they started showing up a little bit more and getting more business. They were focusing on building their business up and they got a lot more business and they made a lot more revenue. And it still fit their calendar. So you'll have to analyze your analytics each month, like analyze your analytics. You'll have to review your analytics on your marketing platforms at least each month and see how many leads are coming in from said platforms, how many leads you're actually closing with your, AKA your conversion rate, and what are your bookings numbers looking like? Are they going up? Are they going down? What's going on here? And then tweak your content posting schedule to reflect that. So if you need more business, you will need to post more. But if you don't need more business, you can kind of scale back on posting, especially with short form video posts, because those are very, very evergreen. Okay. You can also different content calendars. So like First Class Community Facebook course, it's a Trello, but it doesn't segment for different because it's focused on a private Facebook community type of thing to build your travel business. So it's going to be like only Facebook groups, right? And remember, you can use the inspiration for the content on other platforms and the scheduling, how often you post, et cetera, et cetera. However, there are some like, I know Metricool is one, and there's one that begins with the letter L, and I can't later. I just poked myself in the eye, everybody. Later, you can link multiple social platforms, and both of these are paid. Like you have to pay for their service to do so. And then you can upload videos or carousels, whatever, to said different platforms and schedule them all out. Now, I don't want you thinking that you need to post everywhere on every single platform. I think ideally no more than 3 platforms is what you should focus on for marketing to your ICA, and make sure that they're platforms that your ICA is actually going to be on. Okay. If your ICA are honeymooners, they're not going to go to LinkedIn to find you. Why are you posting there? Right. Conversely, if your ICA is corporate or MICE travel types, they're not going to find you on Pinterest. Why are you posting there? Go over to LinkedIn. Go to your local chamber, like start networking with business owners. Okay. All right. So that's all about the content calendar information. If you had questions about it, or if you had it on the back burner, or if you have a content calendar, but you're like, I need to do something with this or change what I'm doing with it. I hope this episode helped you today. Yeah. Share with someone you know that's a travel advisor, not just a random person who might need help understanding the purpose of content calendars and some resources they can look into. Oh, I did forget to mention, I don't know if they do this anymore, but back in my day, COVID days, a lot of suppliers, like COVID, pre-COVID, a lot of suppliers also had content calendars that you could download and post, and they would have the images, hashtags, and captions. You might look into that with your preferred suppliers. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.